Hello everybody. If you're wondering why I look like I've died and gone to heaven, it's because my roommate is in the other room wanting to have breakfast. I didn't really want to put more stress on her with like telling her to be quiet or go away, so instead I was just like, I'm gonna go to a different room. But today I wanted to address why I stopped making videos talking about my eating disorder recovery. Since coming to Korea, you have probably noticed a decrease in eating disorder recovery videos. That is mainly because every day I'm talking to new people, and every single day I'm realizing more and more that eating disorders are still a very weirdly taboo thing. In Switzerland, in my little group of friends, it had become quite, I don't want to say normal to talk about, but it's more like open. I wasn't going to be as hurt from their opinions. Whereas in Korea, it can still be very stigmatized and it can still very much be like a what the fuck is wrong with you kind of thing. Especially mental illness. Mental illness here is super stigmatized. Whenever I hear somebody talking about like mental illness, it just breaks my heart because there's so many like strong opinions out there that are very much against it. Daegu is known for like three things: having the most beautiful women, previously being famous for apples and now makjang, which is intestines, and for being the most conservative place in South Korea. So we have a lot of people who still have a kind of conservative mindset, and I don't want to say they're not open-minded because they definitely are, but I definitely notice this in the generations. So younger people might be a little bit more open towards anything, whereas people from older generations, they're probably going to be a bit more like, ooh, what is this? I don't know this. I don't like it. And my job is to have conversations with people, not even like in a counseling way, just like in a let's talk English way. Like social media might pop up, or like YouTubers, they might pop up, or they ask me about my hobbies, and then I have to say, well, you know, this is my hobby. Like I make YouTube videos for a hobby. For a hobby? That sounds like for a living. No, like I make YouTube videos. People want to know more. They want to know how many subscribers I have, how many views I've got, like what kind of videos that I make. And it used to be learning languages, learning Korean, and eating disorders. But the problem is now that every time that I want to say eating disorders, I know that there's a stigma attached to that, and I don't want to have to be confronted with that every single day. But the thing is, when they see eating disorder in the title, they come to me with a lot of questions that I don't want to answer to every single person. Of course, it's interesting to talk about, and maybe they don't know that they've met somebody with an eating disorder before. You never really know unless somebody actually tells you they've had an eating disorder. But so people will have a lot of questions. If I'm just in a work setting, I don't want to talk about my eating disorder every single freaking day. And if I don't make videos about it and people therefore can't click on them or like see it in like the most recent videos, then they're not going to ask me about it. And that's why I've sort of slowed down my making videos about eating disorders. You talk more frequently to people and they ask you about your hobbies, and every time they ask you about your hobbies, I mention YouTube because it's the only hobby that I've consistently done for more than like 3 years. People get interested because Korea is very, very modern, and so they care a lot about like social media, or people seem to care a lot about social media. They might just want to not talk in English and just watch a YouTube video instead, which I never do because I hate watching my videos when other people are around with me because I'm just like, feels weird. So if they see like eating disorders in the last 3 videos, they want to talk about it, and I am not willing to do that with every single person because a lot of people still have very like construed views on eating disorders, and I don't want to deal with that. But like in the way that South Korea still has a big stigma towards mental illness and eating disorders, to put it into perspective, let's say somebody feels like they have depression and they don't feel well, so they go to a counselor, they go to a psychiatrist, they do everything to get their mental health back in check. What can happen is next time they apply for a job, that company can like search through their medical history and see, oh, you've had a mental illness in the past, and then not hire you because of that. I think that's one of the most dangerous parts of like this whole like hiring system. It's insane the kind of loops and hoops you have to jump through to even be able to get an interview. It's insane. I'll see if I can grab a Korean friend who can like explain this better on camera than I can, because like I've never had to go through it. Getting a job here is crazy. So if you have that like boom mental illness stamp on your report, then it's possible that companies just straight up will not hire you because in the past you've had a mental illness or you've had depression. People are afraid that they will not get hired. So people with depression or people with mental illness, they will not go to see a psychiatrist, they will not go to seek help because they're afraid that it's going to go into their record and they're not going to get hired in the future. That's the thing, it feels weird to talk about it in real life, despite the fact that I talked about it online where like a lot more people are able to see it. But I feel like there, it's not so much a conversation as it's me telling you a story, and then afterwards you can tell me in the comments how you feel about it, or like you can give me anything back, like you can give me feedback back. Whereas if I tell it in real life, immediately I'm getting questioned on things that maybe I'm not comfortable discussing, or maybe I don't want to discuss with you specifically, because like I've only met you twice. Why would I tell you all about my mental illness history or like my eating disorder history? We don't know each other that well. Whereas these videos are made to inspire other people. If the first time I meet you, or even like the third or fourth time, I don't want to tell you all about my eating disorder history. That feels very invasive and very strange, because my eating disorder was a very personal thing to me. Like, first I wanted to share it with, you know, my friends and family, and then I was gonna do videos about it because I wanted to inspire other people to come forward and talk about it, because I wanted to make people feel like it's not shameful and it's not something that like you need to hide specifically. It takes a very specific kind of person that makes me feel comfortable. I need to be very comfortable with a person to want to actually discuss my eating disorder. I have to have a kind of like connection to this person, whereas if you're just a stranger who's learning English and came to this academy and now they're wanting to talk about my eating disorder, I'm like, that feels very invasive and personal and I don't want to talk about it. But because I'm in a professional setting, it feels sort of strange to put my foot down and say, I don't want to talk about this, let's talk about something else. Because it's my job to keep a conversation going, and I'm not really the best at that, but it is my job to keep the conversation going. What do? I keep the conversation going, and so then I end up talking about my eating disorder and I don't want it. I don't want it at all. So that's why I stopped making videos about it. I think that's pretty much all I'm gonna say on that. If you have any opinions on the topic, let me know. If you know more about like eating disorders and how Asia, or specifically Korea, deals with it, please let me know. I'm very interested. Or if you have any resources. But for now, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can stick around till when I make a new one. I hope you drink lots of water, get lots of sleep, and this is the end. Bye!